That ain't gonna work. How's it going, guys, and welcome to this video. This is going to be my first ever bike park review. Don't know if that's something that you'll find interesting. We'll soon find out. This one is going to be my favourite bike park. Spoiler alert, it's BikePark Wales. So if you want to get to know me, Luke Hamilton, the reluctant rider, if you want to share my POV rides, if you want to get some tips and tricks, if you want to see me review some awesome equipment, hopefully more so in the future, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below there, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Ding! So as you don't miss anything. Right, dudes, a lot written down for this one. I've spent a lot of time in, not the scripting of this one, but there's a lot of information that I wanted to share with you guys. So as you guys can just use this as your source of information if you're looking to go to BikePark Wales. So let's just jump straight into that, and I'm going to read off my phone rather a lot in this video, I would say. So quickly, I just want to go through some facts and figures of BikePark Wales, because I understand that people are going to be seeing this in America as well as in the UK, and the people in America may well not have heard of it so much as the people in the UK. So let's look at some facts and figures. So location for the international viewers here, BikePark Wales is in South Wales, which is kind of to the west of England, the bit that sticks out of the west of England there. It's in the south part of Wales, about 4 hours to the east of London, sort of southeast a little bit of London. It's outside a town called Merthyr Tydfil, which is about 45 minutes away from Cardiff, up the A470 there. And basically, yeah, you drive down the M4 from London. You drive on the M4 all the way into South Wales, you come off at Cardiff, get on the A470, bomb it up the A470, and then where the right-hand turn on a roundabout is to go into Merthyr Tydfil, on the left there is BikePark Wales, which is absolutely typical because I lived about 3 miles away from BikePark Wales at the top end of Merthyr Tydfil right up until January of 2012, and BikePark Wales actually opened in August of 2013, which is unbelievable. So opening times for BikePark Wales, I think it's open like 364 days of the year, like every day apart from Christmas Day, I think. In the summer, it's open from 9 until 6. That's for the trails and the trail centre. The uplift runs from 9:30 till 6:30, and that's Monday through to Sunday, apart from Thursdays. On Thursdays, it's like a late opening. They you can use your lights and stuff, and they do a late uplift. But it's in the summer actually, so it's still probably light at that time. But it runs from 9 until 9 on a Thursday, and then the uplift is from 10 until 8. So that's your summer opening times. I'll write those in the corner as well as I'm going over there probably. And then in winter it's open from 9 till 4:30, 7 days a week, and then the uplift is 9:30 till 7 days a week. So it's open, all the time. For those of you that don't know, obviously there's two types of uplifts. There's probably more actually, but the BikePark Wales is a van with a trailer type uplift. They've got 3 or 4 vans running all the time, can get sort of 20 bikes or something on the back. So that's the type of uplift. I would say it takes something like 10 minutes, maybe like 12 minutes or something to get to the top, so it's nice and quick. Prices, we've got to look at prices. So a day pass will run you £8, which goes up to £8 is like for a standard bike for all ages, and it goes up to £12 for e-bikes. So yes, they accept e-bikes at BikePark Wales. Anyone under the age of 16 must be accompanied by an adult, and a season ticket will run you £120, that season pass. So that doesn't include uplift. That's just for your season ticket for entry to the trails. Obviously, the price starts kicking in. An uplift pass for the day will run you £32.50 during the week, which includes the day pass. So that includes the £8 that I mentioned just now. And then weekends, they are 38 or 75 for the weekend. You can also buy passes for uplifts, £4 a go for 1 to 5 uplifts. So if you're a local, I guess the locals will buy a pass for the whole year and maybe go and do 2 or 3 uplifts or something to keep the cost down. But it is on the expensive side by comparison to a lot of Europe's other bike parks, but is what it is. I can't do anything about that. Bike rental is available starting at £45 a day. They currently hire Trek bikes, which is obviously their sponsorship or agreement is with them. The entry level bike is like an Enduro Remedy 7, and then it goes up to a Trek Remedy 8, which is the higher end one, and then the very top bike that you can get is a Trek Session for £65. You can also rent an e-bike if you want to uplift yourself, which actually isn't a terrible idea. Let's come on to availability quickly, and I'm trying to whip through all this so as I can get on on to my review of the place. Day passes are pretty much unlimited and are always available from what I've seen. The uplift in summer can be booked weeks in advance. I think sometimes in like the holiday seasons and stuff like that in the summer for the summer holidays, I think then it can even be booked up over a month in advance, which is a problem. The main problem with that is that South Wales, the weather isn't brilliant, and not that it's particularly bad compared to the rest of the UK, but because the weather in the UK is so unreliable, booking that far in advance, you've got absolutely no guarantees with the weather, so just keep that in mind. So let's come on to the trails, not my review of the trails, but just what's there. So the bike park has over 30 downhill trails, and BikePark Wales doesn't feel massive, but it feels like it's got miles of trails, which I don't know how they've done that, but it's brilliant. So you've got green lines up all the way up to pro lines, like double blacks. There's 1 green, 8 blues, 10 reds, 11 blacks, and 2 pro lines. Obviously, that's at the time of this review, and it doesn't factor in maintenance, periods for the different trails. Obviously, pretty much all the time there's going to be a few trails closed for maintenance, but for the most part there's always well over 20, probably over 25 tracks available to you. It really is quite incredible, that selection of trails, considering that it doesn't feel vast in terms of hectares, but it's also only got like a 240 metre drop across the park. Absolutely amazing. My experience of the park is okay. I visited 3 times, once last year, a couple times before that. This is gutting, given, like I said just now, that the bike park, I live there 3 miles away. Man, if the park was there and I lived up there, I was already riding by then, I'd have hit it loads and loads and loads. But that just is what it is. I won't dwell on that for too long. I'd probably hit about 50% of the trails just because there's so many, and you tend to I try not to hit every single trail. I like to hit as many trails as I can, but I also like to hit some of them 2 or 3 times so as I can get quick, Okay, now let's come on to the review. So one of the most important things with me, because BikePark Wales is my favourite bike park, not by a long way, but it is my favourite bike park, and it was also my first bike park that I ever rode. So an important factor for it being my favourite place and somewhere that I've been back to 3 times now, even though I live far away from there, is the fact that it's so perfect for beginners. With all those blue trails, what was it, 8 blues, a green and 10 reds, in terms of from your mediocre riders and down, people visiting bike parks for the first time, it's just the perfect place to ride. Like, if you're in the same place as me when I first went to a bike park where you're just crapping yourself because of the prospect of riding a bike park, you really needn't be. 1, there's going to be loads of people in the same boat, and 2, BikePark Wales is just fantastic. I think it's fair to say that BikePark Wales has one of the best selections of blue runs in Europe, probably because of how extreme some of the more high alpine type bike parks are, but it's not just the best because of the number of easy trails it's got, it's the best because of the fact that the easy trails, the blue trails, are also spectacularly good. You get people that go on a black run and hit the gaps and stuff like that, and then the next run they'll be on the blue run just because of how much speed you can carry down the blues, and the fact that you can still get good air because you can hit the less intense just kind of like the contours much faster and still get air and stuff like that. The blue runs here are absolutely fantastic. Easy enough to ride, no features really, but still just an absolute shredfest. Really good fun. The park is just so progressive. One of the things that I really like is that they have what do they call it? It's a qualifying feature, I think they call it. Yeah, it's like trail qualifiers. So to help you make sure you don't end out on a trail that's out of your depth, but also allow you to kind of push yourself on to the next level of trail. At the start of every trail, there's a qualifier. If it's a blue, there might not be because of the fact that there's no features or jumps or anything in the trail. But on the blacks and reds, there's usually a feature at the top of the trail. It might be a drop, it might be a gap, it might be a jump, but basically you have to ride the feature to get onto the trail, and if you can ride that feature, that trail qualifier, you're definitely going to be able to handle the trail. So I think that's an absolutely fantastic addition to the park that I've not seen on the other few parks that I've ridden on. So I think it's got to be one of the most progressive bike parks around for beginners. Just a 10 out of 10 for beginner suitability. So let's move on to trail ambience, if you like. So when I say trail ambience, I mean like the feel of the bike park. Now, Val Nord, I absolutely loved Val Nord for the thousands of feet of elevation, the masses of ground that you cover while you're weaving your way down the trails. It was just so big, so just extreme. It was absolutely magnificent. But One of the things that I love about BikePark Wales is that so much of the trails, and so many of the trails, you feel a bit more hemmed in. It's like a narrow single track trail where you can't always see miles ahead of you. Like, that's what I think of when I think of BikePark Wales. It's got jumps, it's got gaps, it's got drops, it's got all the cool stuff that you want from a bike park, berms, you know, all of that stuff. But at the same time, it's also, the trails just feel nice and narrow, like you can't really make a mistake, like everything kind of makes sense at the same time as being a little bit more extreme because you can't see what's coming around the corner because you don't just have a massive view in front of you and big wide trails. I love that about BikePark Wales. It properly, really, a lot of bike parks, it doesn't really feel like you're riding blind because of how much you can see, but BikePark Wales isn't like that. The trail builders of this place and the trail designers of this place are just absolute legends for creating what they have with the space that they've had, with the elevation that they've had. It's just absolutely magnificent, and that's the kind of ambience for me. It's just beautiful riding without so much room, so as you have to really maneuver the bike. It's just amazing, and hopefully I'll bring that across in some of my videos that I'll just show clips of in a minute. If I had to try and describe it, which I'm struggling to do, if I'm honest, I'd have to use a cliche where when I talk about the trails, there's just something for everyone. Want to rip it at Mach 9 on a flowy blue? Got it. Want to hit some jumps or gaps or drops? Got it. Want to weave your way down windy, gnarly terrain? Got it. Do you know what I mean? There's just something for everyone there, and I just love it for that. So I want to get a bit more specific and talk about my favourite trails. So if I look at my phone now, so you won't, basically at BikePark Wales, you won't get from top to bottom in one drop. That's quite common for bike parks because there's so much elevation. They do it to break it up, give you rests and stuff like that. So it takes at least 2 trails to get from top to bottom, I think, unless you take like a cross-country route or something crazy. I think it's almost always 2, sometimes 3, and I think in a couple of places you can hit 4 or 5 trails, parts of them. So here are my top 3 ways of getting from top to bottom. So in third place, I really like Wibbly Wobbly into Rimdinger, and I'll show you a little section of Wibbly Wobbly so as you can get a feel for that, and then a little section of Rimdinger. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Rimdinger. Hope you enjoyed that. So my second favourite way of getting from top to bottom is Die Hard into Coal Not Dole into Insufficient Funds. Next to all these trails, obviously, as you've just seen, I'll put the coloured writing or the outer glow or something so as you can tell the grading of the trail. What this is, black, black, red. And I'll show you some of that footage now. Taste the fuck out of that initial drop. is where I came off just now. What's at the other side of this? Fuck it. And then I think my favourite way of getting from top to bottom is Vicious Valley, because there's a real fast section towards the end of Vicious Valley, and Bonnieville, and then you do a little bit on Bluebell, and then it's Insufficient Funds again. I friggin' love Insufficient Funds. Whoa, that is a big drop. That's the little 3 sections that I've shown you there. If I had to pick an absolute favourite trail, it's Insufficient Funds. It's this little jump track, like towards the bottom of the park. You come onto this red trail, which is split into 2 sections, I think, and it's like a jump section. The first sort of 6 or 7 things that you hit are drops on blind corners and stuff like that, a couple of them, and it just makes you feel like an absolute megastar on a mountain bike, because they aren't big drops, and the way that it's been built is just perfect. Anyone can drop off them, and when you do it, like I say, it just makes you feel like a pro rider. It's an absolutely sick trail. Yeah, good food in the canteen, plenty of parking, always loads of people around. The buses are always full, but I always seem to find that there's plenty of room on the trails, even if you like get away quickly when the bus parks up, or you hang back for 2 minutes between the bus that you came on and the next bus. I always could rip it down in time to get on the same bus again, so I didn't lose too much time. So you always get plenty of room on the trails, I found. So yeah, it's awesome. So my rating for BikePark Wales would have to be a perfect 10. I fucking love the place, and I highly recommend going there from anywhere in the UK. And if you come into the UK on a trip, make sure you put BikePark Wales on your list, because I just think it's a magnificent bike park and a real tribute actually to the trail builders in the UK. I absolutely love the place. Make sure you go there, and I think that's it. Like I said, perfect 10 for BikePark Wales. And I'm going to move on to my next the next video in this little mini series. It's only going to be a few videos, but I'll talk about Val Nord in the next video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video. Hit that notification bell, and yeah, watch all my videos and subscribe to all the loveliness. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. It's been wicked so far. Really enjoy making a video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. On your bikes.